I'm Susan Hatchett. I was born and raised in Springfield, Kentucky, and I was raised in this house. I've been getting blood from Ephraim McDowell Hospital in Danville for 3 years since 2019, and I've received 119 units from the KBC. Back in March of 2019, I was drywalling with my husband, and I got to where I couldn't work. I just couldn't hardly move. I thought it was depression. I thought it was my weight. I was getting out of breath. I just had a lot of symptoms. I finally went to the doctor, my family doctor, on May 8th, and my blood count, my hemoglobin was 6. So she put me in the hospital at Springview in Lebanon. I received 3 units of blood. They sent me home with a hemoglobin of 8. I went to my family's camp out on Memorial Weekend. It was sick the whole weekend, and almost passed out several times. On Memorial Day, my mom took me to the ER, walked into ER, my blood count was 3. And ended up getting 2 units of blood, but then they shipped me to ICU in Danville. I stayed in ICU 5 days. I was in the hospital a total of 8, and I ended up getting 9 units of blood in 8 days. In September of 2019 was when Dr. Krim at UK diagnosed me with myelofibrosis. And this is secondary, it's autoimmune. Myelofibrosis is hardening of your bone marrow. So I'm not producing anything from my bone marrow, my spleen's doing it all. But now my spleen's overworked, so it's eating up my body's defense mode is kicked in and eating up my red blood cells. So every week I go to get my CBC, like I've done for 3 years, but I have to get blood every week now. If I'm down to a 5, I can barely walk to the car and walk to the doctor's office. Sometimes I have to go in by wheelchair. We try not to let it get down that far. I myself don't let it get down that far because it affects my heart, it affects my brain. I can't think, I start shaking. I just really get weak. We try to keep it around 7. Normal is 12 to 13. If I'm a 9, I'd be flying. I mean, I don't get a 9 very often. I don't let anything stop me, so I cook and sit, or wash my clothes and sit. But I can tell when it's really low. The donor's blood has to match my blood perfectly. So I've got, at this point, I think I've got 5 or 6 antibodies. I mean, just to think that there's somebody out there that has exact antibodies that I have, and they're donating blood, it amazes me. It's one of my biggest fears, that I won't get my blood. Now I've got warm antibodies, and they still found somebody with that warm antibody. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I'd have been gone 3 years ago. I wouldn't have seen my grandbabies grow this much. And I love my kids, but there's something about that grandkid, and unless you have them, you just don't get it. They're my happy place, and I want to see them grow up. That's my goal, is to see my grandbabies grow up. Whenever I come home from a transfusion, I thank God for that donor, because if it wasn't for that donor coming to donate, I wouldn't be here. So that's why donating means so much to me. It's my life.